Hello, lovely people. So today I have something very special for you, extremely special and very different. So it's gonna be an RTA evaluation video with the measurements and everything. However, this is not my car. These measurements were made in Malaysia. So I have a friend, he's from Malaysia, his name is Peter, and he's learning to tune as well. He grabbed my CADBUG guide like probably 9-10 months ago and started to tune his car, and now he's tuning successfully other cars as well. And yeah, like if you go through our chats, it's like graphs over graphs over graphs over graphs. And very recently, I sent him to Malaysia some of my drivers. So I sent him Fatal Pros, the ones that I was testing, the 4-inch, and the SB29 tweeters. And I said, when you're going to install it, when you're going to tune it, send me the file so I can go over it. So all of this is with his consent. He agreed with this, so it's not a problem at all. And what I would like to do with this, I would like to do like I don't want to say a series, but kind of a series. And talking to all of you, all my subscribers, if you have started to tune and you would like to share with other people your progress, your install, your whatever, send me some pictures from your install and REW data. So even if you have only raw data, if you haven't started tuning yet, if you need advice or something, you can send me that. Or you can send me your full tune and we can go through it and just have a look, share with others. Maybe I'm gonna spot something, maybe, I don't know. I think it could be very cool. I do have one more car aligned for something similar like this. But if it's gonna be like a series, it would be very fun. So find me on Facebook, contact me, and if you want to share with the world, with my channel, whatever you've done, send me some REW files because I love looking at graphs. So first of all, let's have a look at the car. So it is in Malaysia, so it's like a local small-ish car, and it's called, I have no idea, Perodua Miri, whatever. It's like based on Daihatsu Boon. So it's a smallish car. And let's have a look what he has inside. So this is open. So this is in the boot, like on here on the left side. He has first two amplifiers. So Hertz is a monoblock for the subwoofer. This is Soundstream reference for the mid-bass drivers. And then very recently, we found this ground zero. It's like 4 times 150 or something for mids and tweets. Then we have this small Hertz subwoofer. It's a 10-inch and a small sealed enclosure. DSP is in front in the footwell. It is a kind of, he says, like a Chinese brand. These are like all over the place and they're very cheap. So this is a 8-channel DSP with 6 channels of amplification. So before he got the ground zero, he was running I think mids and tweets from this built-in amplifier, but it's kind of, he's working with it. It's kind of fine. 31 bands parametric EQ. I don't know if it has like all pass filters, but we never use them, but it's fine. It's working. Everybody's happy. Mid bass is in small sealed enclosures under the seats. So it's 2 of them. And these drivers themselves, he says, is like a Chinese no-name brand, so really nothing special. And you will see from the measurements that these are almost a bottleneck in the system. Now the mid-ranges, he has them in the dash in the factory location, so you can fit 4-inch drivers. Previously he had some kind of DLS, I think it's a coax, but he was using it as a mid, and now he installed the Fatal Pros for FE35, and we're gonna have a look at the measurements, how they differ. And for the front, we have those SB Acoustics SB29 tweeters. So these tweeters, it looks a bit like fishy, but both of them are aimed totally on axis. on small little like brackets, adjustable. I think they're adjustable. So it's for now it's temporary because he had them here, and the other tweeters, the previous one somewhere there around. But yeah, it looks kind of cool, similar to my. It's just dash speakers look much better because they hidden behind the grill. And now what I noticed looking at this, I can see that this mid-range is not firing directly up the glass, but it looks like it's slightly tilted towards the listener, so it's not directly up the glass. And it is important because I'm going to tell you later why. And yeah, so this is the install. Now let's have a look at the actual measurements. And so this file, I opened it just a second time. I glanced over it for the first time, and I can see he's doing everything extremely similar like I do. So first of all, raw responses of all the drivers. So I have tweeters, mid-range, mid-bass, sub. Then we have crossovers applied. Here I can see we have some targets made with Jazzy's Tuning Companion. And then equalizing, yeah, EQ work. LM, I guess, is going to be level matching, so level match after that, and pairs. Yeah, the timing, he's done timing with impulse response. He has like all the stuff with the home impulse, with the loop back and everything, so all is kind of good. And let's have a look. So these tweeters, left and right, these are the SB acoustics. So here they're crossed at 1000 hertz just for protection. And we can see they have very, very nice response. So the level is slightly different, a little bit peaky at about 3.5K, but in general, extension here all the way up to 17, but they kind of play to 20. So yeah, very, very nice extension. I want to say very linear compared. No like big major issues. Maybe just on the right side we have a slight dip at like 9.3K, but it's fine. Now the mid-range, right mid-range. So this is the Fatal Pro. And we can see in the dash, they have quite a lot of boost here. And I think this boost starts a bit higher than in my car. This peak is, I would imagine, the cone breakup. And the fact that I mentioned that in his car, the mid-range is slightly aimed towards, it's not firing directly up the glass. Because in my car, when it's firing up the glass, I have a dip at about 1.3, 1.5K, which is a reflection from the glass, and he doesn't have that in his car. So I would imagine it's just purely because it's aimed. And again, very nice response all the way from like 130 all the way up to 2K, extremely, extremely linear, a little bit, and then it's just a drop off. And now the left one. So the left one is a bit more problematic. This is the top end, it doesn't really matter. What matters is this one. It's massive, massive hole at 300. And we try to troubleshoot it just to find out why this is. I have a measurement here of his old driver, so the previous DLS. And you can see it's exactly the same suck out. Let me just remove this one. Same suck out, massive one, and a drop off. So with previous tune, he tried to boost this area, and he did say that it doesn't sound that good when you boost it by like 6-7 dB. So for the next tune, I think he just left it as it is. But yeah, a massive hole. So we tried to troubleshoot, and here is the biggest difference between like his old DLS drivers, where they fall off and have much less level, compared to the Fatal Pros that have much more level in this area. And the Fatal Pros play all the way like to 14K. Yeah, so we try to troubleshoot and we try to open the door. So this is the same driver, just the door open. And you can see this dip kind of goes away. If I remove this, the response looks much better. So we came to the conclusion that for some reason in his car, there's a reflection on the mid-range driver at about 300 hertz that it's like comes back to your ear out of phase, and that's why it cost. And with this, you cannot do literally anything unless you're gonna drive with your door open, which is, you know, ridiculous. But yeah, left and right mid, so they follow each other very nice, apart from this area between 150 and 450. Like this is the biggest difference, but the rest looks very, very nice. Now let's have a look at the mid-bass drivers. So if you remember, the mid-bass drivers are under the seats. So if we expect from under the seats, we expect a drop off at about like 150, 180. Yeah. And since it's a small sealed enclosure, we're expecting no bottom end. And this is exactly what we have, left and right. We have, it drops off, like it's just a peak of a response, and it drops off after like 160, 150. Here is a big null, and there's no bottom end, just because when you're putting a like automotive driver with high Q in a small sealed enclosure, you have no bass extension, and it is what it is. So yeah, that's why he needed like a bigger mid-range, like a 4-inch instead of like 2 or 3-inch, because it needs to play down to like 150, 160 to cross it somewhere here, because you cannot cross it at like 300 with this massive hole in there. And the worst thing, if we take the left mid-range, yeah, you can see that it's a bit too many graphs. Like this, there's a hole here, and the mid-range has a hole here, so it's not ideal, but it is what it is. And that subwoofer, 10-inch, small one, in a small car, it peaks quite high, 63 hertz, again, small sealed, and again, because it's sealed, it doesn't have that much bottom end, because it's very, very small. It's like probably like half a cube. And we have here slight cancellation, about 74, 75 hertz. And in my car, that cancellation is at 68, so a bit lower. And this is, I would imagine, again, just due to the length of the car, because his car is shorter. So the cancellation is in a higher frequency. If you have like a truck or something, probably it's going to be even higher. If you have a longer car than mine, it's going to be probably lower. But yeah, so this peak needs taming, but the rest, it's playing very nice all the way up to 150. So like in this specific situation in his car, you can see that like mid bass under the seats and the sub is kind of almost playing the same. It's just the sub has more bottom end. Yeah, but fun. Okay, now let's have a look at the targets that he chose. Okay, so I just brought up all the targets. And yeah, so we have a very typical house curve, very similar to what I use. A rise starting a bit higher than me. I started at 200. This starts like maybe at 250, close to 300. And we have at 30 hertz plus 10, 14 dB. So a reasonable good amount of bass. And in general, everything else is flat. Crossover frequency at 3K. 150, or is it 145? Looks like 145 for the mid bass and the mid range, and into the subwoofer at 94, something like that. So quite high, but it's just because the mid basses, if we have a look at this, they don't play low. So even like with no crossovers, oh, this is with a crossover bass, this one, like even with no crossovers, it barely touches the target line. So it is what it is. Well, in regards to these tweeters, he crossed it at 3K in this specific tune. I do believe he has another tune where he crossed it at 2K, because I have them crossed at 2K in my car as well. And he's just playing with different crossover points just to check how it sounds between like 2, 2.5, and 3K. So let's have a look what we have next. Crossovers. Tweeter left, tweeter right. Let me remove other targets. And we see just with the crossovers, the response looks very, very nice. We have following the slope just with the crossovers. We need to remove just a tiny bit here between like 3 and 5K. a little boost here, and maybe some on the top end. So we will see. Actually, we can have a look. Tweet EQ, tweet left. Okay, so from this one, left tweet to EQ, this. Yeah, so exactly. So probably the level was changed a bit, and a slight boost here, slight cut here, and maybe a little bit for the top end. And we ended up with something like this, which looks very, very nice. And from the right tweeter, we have this. It's just a level different. But in general, let me just move it a bit. It's 26. Just move it like that. Yeah. So it's just a level difference. So it's just, yeah, just little cut in here, maybe like 3-4 EQ bands, not very much. And after the EQ, left and right tweeters, they match perfectly and they look amazing. Now let's have a look at the mid-ranges. Let's put the target for the mid-range. And we have mid-range left. So actually, let's leave the left one for late. Mid-range right, which is this one. So this is with the crossovers. And we have, so these mids, they have a FS close to 100. I don't actually remember. I think it's 100. And it's a high Q driver, like 0.6, 0.7 Q. So they do fall off even without any crossovers applied, electrical crossovers. And when you apply electrical crossovers, they kind of drop off a cliff. So I don't expect them to follow the target curve all the way unless you bring the target level very, very low, but it's kind of pointless. So mid right EQ, no. There we go, this one. So yeah, we have just cut. And it follows all the way down to like 110, something like that, which is fine because if we have a look at the mid base target at this region, like it's the peak of the mid base. So the mid base takes over and it plays everything. So everything that falls down here below, it doesn't really matter. So it's fine. A little bit, maybe too much energy here, but it's just one EQ band down and it's fine. So that's the right one. And now the left one, the problematic one. So this was just with the crossovers applied. So the low pass follows very nice. The high pass, again, similar situation, falls off. And this one. Let me find mid left EQ. Yeah, so with this specific tune, he didn't do anything with that dip. He left it as it is. I think he did mention that he tried to boost it and it introduces some distortion and it doesn't sound as nice. So I think he left it. But in general, it follows, the level is slightly different, but it follows the target nicely. And mid, left and right is just a level difference. Yeah. Let me just bring the other one up slightly just to have a look. 23. Perfect. See, perfect matching all the slopes, even if the slopes don't follow the target perfectly down to like wherever, 1 octave. But so because the crossover is what, 150? Yeah, 150. The crossover is 150. So you would want the target to, the response to follow the target 1 octave below, which is 75 all the way up to here, down to there. It doesn't follow to 75, but it's fine. It's fine. It's not a big issue. It's not a big problem. But yeah, this dip, you cannot do anything about it. It is what it is. Now let's have a look at the mid base. So mid base left with the crossovers. And again, this dip is, it's there. You cannot do anything about it. Even in raw base left, is this one? Yes. So yeah, it is this dip here. Maybe I would have chosen a slightly higher crossover and steeper because I'm not sure which one. Let's have a look. It's number 12. And number 7. Do we have any data here, EQ? Oh yeah, we have. Okay, so 180 Butterworth 4. So maybe, I'm just gonna double check very quickly. I don't have the target, but maybe something would be work like 220, but much steeper, like Butterworth 8. So it would bring this level up, and then all of this is gonna go down a bit steeper, and this peak might be adjusted with EQ. So maybe slightly higher crossover point and steeper slope. Maybe that one would work better, just to have some level in this like null. But again, this region 220 hertz is covered by mid-range, like here. It's in the mid-range, so it's fine. Left bass. So this is with the crossovers, and let's have a look at the EQ. Bass left EQ. Yeah, so it's just a level that is different. Well, yeah, I think he might have boosted this, but it's fine. It's a sealed enclosure again, so just you're losing this massive peak. That's the only thing. So that's the left one bass. Right one is extremely similar. Same dip here, and again I would maybe choose a higher crossover with steeper slope. And the right one has even higher peak that needs to come down. And where is it? Bass right, this one, yeah. So it brings down almost 10 dB. But sometimes, yeah, sometimes you have to cut it, especially if you have headroom. If you have gain to compensate, it's fine. And we have left and right matching, again, almost perfect. This is not a big issue at this range. It might be the cancellation. Is this cancellation? Where's the sub raw? Sub raw? Yeah, so this is probably cancellation of the car that reflects in one of the mid basses as well, because I have it on my mid bass as well, so you can't really do much about it. And this, it is what it is. It falls down because it's under the seats. You cannot do anything about it. Now let's have a look at the subwoofer very quickly. So I need subwoofer target. This is subwoofer raw with no crossovers, plays high. Now let's find with a crossover applied, so it brings down all this peak going down, so the level is slightly different, which is fine. And then subwoofer EQ. Yeah, so just actually let me check, let me bring this down, number 29, just to match the level, to see what was done actually, because it's difficult to see. Yeah, there we go. So I'm matching the level where the floor noise is. So this is the floor noise. It's not the actual measurement. And we have very nice matching. And we can see that this peak was removed. Slight boost in this like cabin cancellation probably. And I can see some boost here because I would imagine he wanted to have some extension down to like at least 30 hertz, where like the most music is. Yeah, so it was a boost at the bottom end. And again, it's a small sealed enclosure, so if it's gonna bottom out, he's gonna hear it, but it's not gonna be a big issue. A lot of people do that. Yeah, you don't expect much. He needs a 12. I'm trying to convince him to go IB, but he says it's very difficult in that country and in that climate. But yeah, so this looks very nice. Now let's have a look. So what do we have here? Level match. Okay, so it's fine. Level match, level match. Tweeter, tweeter, mid, mid, mid bass, and the sub. So it looks very, very nice. Apart from like this region for the left mid range, because you cannot do much about this, and this that doesn't follow the target. But yeah, and again, this, if you remember, the mid range doesn't follow the target perfectly all the way. However, like this, yeah, it falls off. However, this region is covered mainly by mid bass and by the sub as well. So this doesn't really matter that the mid range doesn't follow this. And then we have some, so just tweeter pair. Actually, let's remove it. Tweeter pair, mid-range pair. Okay, so smoothing, no smoothing, please. Okay, so for some reason in the pair, there is none of this, because we have left and right, and in the pair, there's none of this. So maybe he boosted after all. I'll need to double check. Peter, if you're watching this, comment, what did you do? How did you get this with no dip, the pair? And mid bass, slight dip again, even in the pair, and it's fine. And then we have that subwoofer response, and the total overall curve, we have something like this. So we can see that the sub, mid bass, and mid range are summing perfectly. Very, very nice. In here, I would like to see some more summing. I don't know why, because if we do just the sum, we can see there's a slight suck out. And even if I apply some smoothing, like 1/3, just like that, yeah, we can see everything flat, 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 flat. And here a slight suck out. And this is exactly where mids, some with tweeters. So yeah, but it's fine. It's very good for like a harsh metal music or whatever, because it's not as harsh when we remove some energy. But like this rise below 300, it should sound very, very nice all the way down to 30. The only thing, if we compare this to the target overall, like that, very similar colors. Let me change the color very quickly. Let's do this one. There we go. So yeah, it follows the target amazingly apart from this area, and slightly more level in like between 100 and 250, 300. So this is, it's mainly for the kick area, because kick lives in like in about 150, something like that in the area. And if you have a bit more level there, the kick sounds a bit nicer. And this is, I would believe, bass. Yeah, so this is caused mainly by the bass pair. So if you would bring the bass, mid bass levels down by like 2 dB, this would go much more flatter. Maybe you can play just with a crossovers, or maybe one EQ band there, but it's, yeah. So in general, it looks very, very nice. It follows the target all the way from 30, all the way up to like 17.5K. Then it slightly falls off. But in general, Peter, very, very good job. Well done. I'm proud of you. I hope you're gonna like the tweeters, how they actually sound, because this doesn't represent how the system actually sounds. This is just, it's just tuning. Everybody knows that. Even if you have a flat response, it doesn't mean that the system sounds very, very nice. So maybe he's gonna comment under the video how it actually sounds and how it is. And yeah, this is pretty much it. So again, just a reminder, if you want me to do something similar with your car, just to have a look at a few photos, have a look at RTA response. Again, if you have only the raw responses and you need advice on choosing crossovers or like EQing or tuning in general, send me the file and I'm gonna do a video on it. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. I will see you in the next one.